Hello and welcome. You're tuned in to Ask Profit on NDTV Profit. I'm Smriti Chaudhary and with me is Mathew. And this show is all about your questions, particularly your stock-related questions. And you can write those questions to us on the WhatsApp number that's flashing on your screen or through any of our social media channels. We'll take those questions and get them answered from our guests. But before we do that, let's take a quick check of the markets. You have the Nifty 50 up about 0.2%, bit of a range-bound day today for the markets. On the broader end of the spectrum, you have the mid-cap index doing not as well as the benchmark, up about pretty much flat, about 0.1%, and the small-cap index doing exactly like what the benchmark is doing. It's actually mirroring the Nifty 50, up about 0.2% as well. Let's look at some of the contributors of the Nifty 50 as well and see what's contributing to those gains. You have Maruti contributing about 20 points. It's up in trade today. There's ITC and L&T as well, while heavyweights like Reliance Industries dragging today along with Kotak Mahindra Bank and ONGC. So these are a couple of stocks that are on the index, but let's look at sector-wise as well. So it's the auto sector that's doing well in trade, up about 1%. However, PSU Bank up over 2% in trade. You have the likes of media, consumer durables also doing well in trade, and something like an energy and oil and gas dragging in trade. However, the focus, Alex, for today is the rice stocks. Those are on a tear today, and that's on some news flows, but the government that seems to be mulling some policy changes in some non-basmati rice stocks. And to talk about that, I'm joined by my colleague Mahima. Mahima, what are you picking up? And something like an L&T Foods and all the rice stocks seems to be on a tear today.
Absolutely, Smriti. So the rice stocks are buzzing in trade today on the back of a Bloomberg story news, that is that India is mulling over easing rice exports, and this will aid the buyers as well. The government may allow white rice exports with a fixed duty, and a 20% levy on shipments of parboiled rice may be scrapped. Now, India is world's top rice shipper, and India has been limiting its sales in key rice varieties and limiting its export just to curb food inflation. However, export and on the back of this, the export data in the first 2 months of FY24, as per the government, suggests that India's total rice exports slumped 21%. Shipment of non-basmati rice fell 32%. Now, media reports also suggest that Centre is likely to fix a floor price of $500 per ton on no basmati rice exports. So this could potentially benefit the rice exporters of India, and these include stocks like LT Foods, KRBL, Chamanlal Sethi Exports and GRM Overseas Limited. So this is the overall reason why all of these stocks are buzzing in trade today.
All right. Thanks so much, Mahima, for getting us those details. Now, you have to bear in mind that there are a lot of countries globally that depend on exporting nations like India for rice consumption. And as a result of the decision of the government to hold back on those exports, there is demand for rice. So there would be significant takers also for the rice that gets exported if indeed something like this is approved by the government. Bear in mind that no official announcement has yet been made. Let's talk about this in more detail, and let's introduce our experts for the day. We've got Astha Jain, who's a senior research analyst at Hem Securities, and we've got Swati Hodkar, who's AVP Technical Research at Nirmal Bang, joining in. Thank you so much to the both of you for taking the time, and good morning to you. Astha, let's talk about the rice stocks as a whole, and assuming that something like this comes through, it's positive, right?
Good afternoon. Yes. So what I am thinking right now, on the basis of the information which we have got recently, the stocks are also behaving in the same direction and what we are seeing right now. If I talk about KRBL or LT Foods, all are up by 8 or 9%. So prima facie, it seems to be a positive movement. And these type of government, whatever announcements government has done, definitely they have certain impact on the prices, and that's what we are seeing. I think going ahead also now, since the result season is also approaching, so we really need to look after the results also. But yes, I think prima facie this is really positive news for all these companies, and our major pick is KRBL among these stocks.
Do you have a target on KRBL?
Right now, it is quoting somewhere at around 335, 336 odd levels. So we are believing that this stock is poised for the further up movement till the 355 to 360.
Okay, not a very significant upside from this point on. Of course, these stocks are reacting very sharply in trade today. Let's see if that holds out. Let's jump straight into the questions then. We've got several that have come through already on WhatsApp, and Smriti has already told you, if you've got questions for us or for our experts, you can send them to us on that number that you see at the bottom of your screen. For now, let's jump to Yash's question. He's writing in from Gurgaon, and he's holding two amine companies, Alkyl Amine as well as Balaji Amines. Both he has bought. So he's bought Alkyl Amines at levels of 2,975, and he's got Balaji Amines at 3,147 rupees. He's asking for a fundamental view on both of these counters. Asta, what would you say the long-term prospects are for these two, and would you hold on to both or would you exit one of them?
So right now for alkyl amine, my stances hold. The reason behind is that because the company is really focusing on the capacity expansion, they are focusing on the R&D also, and in fact some product innovation is also on the cards. I think the waste reduction and environmental impact which we have seen on these companies, now the company is planning in order to focus on these waste reduction as well as environmental plan. Now they are planning to triple their R&D team also and implement a new byproduct also. So I think all these efforts which are taken by the company, I think they will really reap the benefits in the future. So right now I'm not very much positive because I really need to see the results of alkyl amine. But those who are having the stock in their holding, they can continue to hold the stock. So if I talk about both of these counter, we are more positive on alkyl amine because it is looking better to us. And right now hold is given to this counter with a initial price target of 21.50 to 22.50.
All right. The next counter is Motilal Oswal. The question is from Tushar. They say they bought the counter at a price of 692 rupees. The question is that the counter has been falling for a while, and Asa, that comes after those SEBI regulations of flat fee, and it's not just Motilal Oswal that has seen that sort of fall today. It's gaining today though. What's your take on this? Should somebody who's holding at the level of 692, should they continue holding on to it?
Yes, because the CB, regulations are really momentary. I think so because if I talk about the fundamentals, all of their segments, all the departments, like if I talk about their broking department, the kind of equity retail participation we are seeing, that is really giving an edge to the company. In fact, if I talk about the number of RMs addition, they have done a significant RM addition, keeping in mind that their mutual fund folio is also working well. So I think all of the departments for this company is working well, and we are expecting the kind of excitement and the kind of participation we are seeing in the equity markets will continue to give company an edge over the other peers because their financial position is also very strong. So we are positive on this counter and we are recommending a hold on this counter, and the price target for Motilal Oswal, which initially we are giving, is somewhere at around 600 to 610 levels.
Okay, understood. Just a quick pointer, if you've got a specific stock that you would like to know about, let us know about that, and we'll generally restrict questions to one stock. The next question's for you, Swati. Sorry to keep you waiting. This is an Adani Total Gas, and we've got a view of Vikas Gupta who's writing in from Kanpur, and he's asking about this. He's bought at levels of 924, which is slightly above the current market price, and he's wondering whether to hold on to this or sell. What should be the strategy based on the technicals?
Yes, good morning, Alex, and good morning to panelists. Definitely, the view is a bit cautious on this particular counter on the technical front because we are witnessing a selling pressure from onwards 1190 towards to now 880 levels. But if you look towards the past history, the stock has formed a double bottom formation nearby 880 levels. So as long as it sustains that level as a support level on the closing basis, we might see some bounce back rally towards to 970 or 980 levels. So any pullback rally coming towards to 980, one should exit the long positions, but the overall longer term structure doesn't look that much positive to keep on hold for a longer duration. So I will suggest as of now you hold this particular counter by keeping a stop loss of 880 for immediate target of 970 levels on the high side.
update, and this is a standard disclosure. This is NDTV Profit, part of the NDTV Group, and it is owned by the Adani Group.
All right, the next counter is IDFC Bank. The question is from Geeta, who's writing in from Mumbai. They bought the counter at a price of 83 rupees. The counter is currently trading below that price. Now, they bought it 6 months back, but they have an outlook for a decade. Asta, coming to you on IDFC Bank, for somebody who's holding for a period of at least 10 years, what's a suggestion that you would give? Should you stick to something like an IDFC Bank, or should you maybe switch to something else?
IDFC Bank, First Bank is really looking good to us, especially if we talk about the small ticket size stock, because below 100 it is one of the bank which is really looking good to us. Now, the reason behind it, first of all, the way they have shown the deposit growth, it is industry leading deposit growth. So they have really outperformed the industry growth in the terms of deposit as well as profit after tax. So that makes a strong case for the re-rating of this counter. And I think this counter can move to the level of 93 at the initial and maybe 100 at the later stages. So we are positive on this counter, giving a buy as well as a hold. So buying on dips can also be applied to this counter. So one can buy the counter at around the level of 77 or 76 with the ultimate price target of 92. And since the result season is now approaching, so definitely we would like to see the results. So one can really review their position even after the results also.
That incidentally answers Mamta's question also. Mamta has bought at levels of 88. The next question that I'm taking is from Shloka. And Shloka is asking about Bank of India. She points out that she's a relatively new investor and she's got a few stocks on her watch list. Among them, we've got Bank of India. It's up and about in trade today. Asta, in fact, the entire PSU banking pack is up. This one's up about 3.5%. But for a long-term investor, would you suggest a fresh entry in this, or is there a better option available to you? Just as we're speaking, by the way, we have the Nifty 50 that has hit a fresh all-time high. This is something that has been occurring on an ongoing basis. It happened last week as well, and in fact, it has breached that briefly. It has breached that 24,400 mark, and it has once again dropped below that mark. We'll bring you updates as and when that happens on a more durable basis. But I was talking about Bank of India. Would you suggest, Asta, this particular counter, or would you say that there is a better pick in the PSU banking pack?
So there's one interesting fact about Bank of India which I would like to share here, is that the Bank of India has a strong overseas presence also, with a presence in the 18 country. So that is really a strong thing. And now talking about this counter is that basically the management has given a very strong guidance. In fact, management has target credit growth of 13%, and they have targeted to maintain the NIM, net interest margin, at 3%. So on the basis of the strong guidance by the management, I think this bank is looking strong to us, and there is no need to worry in the counter, because when management is such kind of positivity is shown from the management side, then definitely it is a positive for the counter also. Recommending a hold on this counter with the ultimate price target of 140 to 145.
All right, got it. It's time to slip into a short break. Stay with us, Asta and Swati, and we'll be back and we'll take more questions on the other side. Stay tuned.
मैं जब 2014 में पहली बार आप लोगों ने मुझे देश की सेवा करने का मौका दिया, तब कुछ सैकड़ों में स्टार्टअप हुआ करते थे। आज लाखों में है। आज भारत वो देश है जो रिकॉर्ड संख्या में पेटेंट फाइल कर रहा है, रिसर्च पेपर पब्लिश कर रहा है, और यही मेरे देश के युवाओं का पावर है, वही उनकी शक्ति है। और दुनिया भी हिंदुस्तान के नौजवानों की टैलेंट को देखकर अचंभित भी है। साथियों, पिछले 10 वर्षों में देश ने विकास की जो रफ्तार पकड़ी है, उसे देखकर दुनिया हैरान है। दुनिया के लोग जब भारत आते हैं तो कहते हैं भारत बदल रहा है। आप भी आते हैं तो ऐसा ही लगता है ना? वो ऐसा क्या देख रहे हैं? वो देख रहे हैं कि भारत का कायाकल्प, भारत का नवनिर्माण वो साफ साफ देख पा रहे हैं। जब भारत G20 जैसे सफल आयोजन करता है, तब दुनिया एक स्वर से बोल उठती है, अरे भारत तो बदल रहा है। जब भारत सिर्फ 10 वर्षों में अपने एयरपोर्ट्स की संख्या को बढ़ाकर 2 गुना कर देता है, तो दुनिया कहती है वाकई भारत बदल रहा है। जब भारत सिर्फ 10 साल में 40,000 किलोमीटर से ज्यादा, यह आंकड़ा याद रखना, 40,000 किलोमीटर से ज्यादा रेल लाइन का इलेक्ट्रिफिकेशन कर देता है, तो दुनिया को भी भारत के पावर का एहसास होता है। उनको लगता है देश बदल रहा है। आज जब भारत डिजिटल पेमेंट्स के नए रिकॉर्ड बना रहा है, आज जब भारत L1 पॉइंट से सूरज की परिक्रमा पूरी करता है, आज जब भारत दुनिया का सबसे ऊंचा रेलवे ब्रिज बनाता है, आज जब दुनिया की सबसे ऊंची स्टैच्यू बनाता है, तो दुनिया कहती है वाकई भारत बदल रहा है। और भारत कैसे बदल रहा है? कैसे बदल रहा है? भारत बदल रहा है क्योंकि भारत अपने 140 करोड़ नागरिकों के सामर्थ्य पर भरोसा करता है।
Modi at Moscow, his first visit to Russia in quite a while. We'll bring you more details of what he says to the Indian diaspora in Russia over the course of the day. For now, let's turn back to the questions that we have been taking, and the next one that we will take is on IRCTC. This is from Suvadeep, and he's asking whether to buy at the current levels for the medium term, and he also he appreciates the fact that it has run up quite a bit. That, if anything, is a bit of an understatement, Suvadeep. But I'll still take your question across on the technical basis to Swati. Swati, what's the view on the charts?
Yeah, Alex, the view is definitely positive on this particular counter. On the daily chart, the stock has formed the inverse head and shoulder formation, and it is on the verge of giving the breakout. Now, the breakout comes at around 1050 levels. Today, we have seen that the stock has managed to just put a tick of 1055 levels, but we need a breakout on the closing basis. If stock manages to keep a positive closing above 1050 levels, then definitely we can see some spurt in this particular counter, which might take a counter towards to 1080 to 1100 rupees on the higher side. But looking towards the market conditions, I believe then one should wait for this particular counter to take a fresh long positions. If the stocks sees any dips towards 2000 to 990 levels, one can definitely go for long positions by keeping a strict stop loss of a 970 rupees on a downside, and the target will be up to 1080, then 1100 levels on the high side.
All right. The next counter is Tata Steel. The question is from Vijay Reddy. They say they bought the counter at a price of 127 rupees. It's currently trading above 170 levels. As on a fundamental basis, from a longer term perspective, do you have a price target on this?
Right. So first of all, we are recommending hold on this counter, and on the long-term basis, we are recommending the target of somewhere at around 200, basically 195. So 195 to 200 is our initial target for this counter. Now talking about the fundamentals of this counter. So in fact, what we are looking is that there is a strong demand, and what is more important for this is the reduction in the coking coal as well as iron ore prices. So, and companies also going for higher capex. So I mean, these higher capex spending along with the reduction in the major input cost is really working in favor of the company. And I think the upcoming results will also be very strong from this counter. So recommending a hold. Price target can be set at around 195 to 200.
All right. There was a bit of a confusion because Suvadeep and Shubhodeep have both asked questions. We took Suvadeep's question. Shubhodeep, I'm waiting for you to tell me which one stock you'd like to know about. Nitin Kare is asking about IREDA, which he has bought at levels of 201, and he's wondering whether to hold because he feels like there's a possibility that the stock will fall. He's still in the green. The stock is down about 4% or 4.5% or thereabouts. Swati, what's the view on the charts? It's run up quite a bit.
Yes, my view is positive, Alex, on this particular stock because it has given a very strong breakout of cluster resistance, which was coming at around 205 levels. And the stock is witnessing a very good positive rally on the high side. No wonder today it's almost 4% on downside because we have seen a one side stretch rally from 200 to 250. So the profit bookings cannot be denied at the higher level. But if you're looking for a shorter term horizon, at least 3 to 6 months, definitely one can hold on. I'm looking for a target of 300 and about at levels 340 can be seen. As long as the stock sustains about 200 and so levels, definitely one should hold their long positions.
All right. Got it. The next question is Tata Motors, and this one's from Sanjeev. While we do not know the buy price of this counter, Asta, coming to you on Tata Motors, the question is, should you continue holding on to it or should you sell? Now, it came out with its business update yesterday. Considering that, and it's a decent set of numbers. The stock isn't doing too much at this juncture. What's your suggestion? Should you continue holding on to it?
Yes, we are recommending hold on this counter with a price target of 1150 at the initial level. So talking about this counter, I think they from past few months, the management is continuously guiding about the improvement in their margin, and that is what they are showing in their results also. So this is major positive, along with the balance sheet deleveraging is also what we are seeing. So I mean, all these factors are contributing and signaling towards strong upcoming financial growth. And we are positive on this counter. Along with that, industry tailwind is also there because we are positive on the commodity sector as a whole. So looking after all this, one can remain invested in the counter. And price target is around 1150 can be set on this counter.
Quick view on IRFC. This is a question from Shubhadeep. He's bought at levels of 161. He's got 210 shares. What should he do based on the price trends?
So IRFC is like, as it is we all know it is a borrowing arm of the government, especially for the railways, and they are working on the low risk cost plus model basis. So that is really helping the company in showing the strong margin improvement. We are positive on the IRFC counter as well, and recommending a hold on this counter.
All right. Thank you so much for getting us that view, Asta. And that brings us to the end of this particular edition of Ask Profit. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing it to you. Asta, as well as Swati, thanks so much for taking the time and for speaking to us. Viewers, that brings us to the end, as I said, of this particular edition of Ask Profit. Do stay tuned. Lots more coming up over the course of the day. And this is NDTV Profit.
Hello and welcome. This is Hot Money. I am Angam Vakil, and in this show we take you through all the stocks which have been the flavor of the season and are buzzing in trade. But before that, a quick look at how markets are faring. It's been a quiet Tuesday morning. It is, of course, a day where we are looking at the Nifty looking to make a new life high. That is 24,401, and above that, can that be possible? Well, it isn't improbable because we're hardly about 11, 12 odd points away from there. But it's not really, a huge one because, well, it's advancing by around 0.3%. But you never know. We could in fact see some strength on account of that. That said, if the Bank Nifty has now also recovered, it's up as much as 0.3%. Something like the broader market indices, that's where we are seeing a mixed traction coming through, but a little bit of an underperformance there. So mid-cap and small cap indices are marginally in the red, and not advancing by as much as what we've seen as far as the Nifty 50 is concerned. Let's take a look at the key movers in the Nifty 50 as well. And, so we do have significant advances for Maruti Suzuki. In fact, it is the top gainer on the index by a mile. And then we, of course, have ITC and HDFC Bank and L&T providing some amount of gains coming through. Of course, what's weighing down on the indices just ever so slightly is something like a Reliance Industries, a Kotak Mahindra Bank, ONGC, probably taking a looking at a little bit of profit taking coming through. So that's as far as the broader markets go. Pardon me, the benchmarks are concerned. I want to take a look at the broader markets too and see how things are faring there. In general, as I've mentioned, that today is a day where there's been just a little bit of an underperformance as far as the broader market indices are concerned. But even in the mid-cap index, if I consider some of your top losers, we have now a bout of profit taking in Mazagon Dock. That's down 4%. RVNL, after looking at and hitting and moving well over the mark of 600, is now looking quite a sharp cut on an intraday basis. It's now lost out on even 550. We have Paytm, which is down as much as 4%. Bharat Dynamics is under pressure. That's down around 2%. Can we pull up Garden Reach Shipbuilders as well? Because now is around the time where we actually we're starting to see some profit taking in a lot of these stocks, which has surged substantially over the course of the last few days. Now, that's as far as your broader market losers are concerned. Very quickly, taking a look at advancing names as well. So you have Union Bank, Bank of Maharashtra, as well as IDBI Bank. These are the three public sector banks which are in fact doing well in today's day of trade and advancing. So these are some of those names which are in fact a part of the broader market advancers, giving an impetus. And of course, let's not forget Mankind Pharma, also up and about. So that's as far as your overall market picture is concerned. Let's tell you what we have in store in our show today. We have Affle India. We're going to take that up. We have an initiation as far as one brokerage is concerned. Dixon Technologies, once again, a little bit of a news flow coming in there. Rice stocks, of course, looking at a potential advantage playing out. The IT sector, life insurers, and of course, Maruti Suzuki. And to talk to us about that, we have been in conversation with Raghvendra Kedia. He's a founder of Prosperity Advisors. Raghvendra, good morning. Thank you so much for joining in. Before I come to you, let me introduce the first topic we have today, and that's Affle India. We have a new initiation from a brokerage on this one. Let's get in Rucha to tell us more about this one. Rucha, over to you.
Thanks, Agam. Good afternoon. As you rightly mentioned, Citi has initiated on Affle India with a target price of 1,600 rupees, indicating an upside of around 20%, and also with a buy rating on the stock. Now, talking about Affle is an ad tech platform which is set to benefit from new online customer acquisition spending. So basically, the non-revenue converting customers will likely pay for the services and then generate revenue for the company. Now, the company also has partnerships across the supply chains with the original equipment manufacturers, often called as OEMs. Company has also a conversion-based model, as explained, wherein the non-cash generating customers get on board and contribute to the top line of the company. Now, the company has also its focus in the M&A segment with its recent acquisition of UAPI. Now, the brokerage house expects 20% top line CAGR over the next 3 years, and also an EBIT margin expansion of around 400 basis points. Lastly, talking about valuation, Affle is a buy recommendation even at a 48 times valuation based on its FY26 PE ratio. So this is what the brokerage house expects, a 20% upside on Affle India.
All right, Rucha, thank you so much for getting us those updates. Raghvendra, welcome to the show. Is this on your radar, and what do you make of Affle India here on?
Good afternoon, Agam. Good afternoon, NDTV Profit team. Broadly, what we would approach Affle India as, market are at Li-Fi levels, and this stock is, in terms of valuation, a little expensive. If you see the current EPS, or even if you extrapolate the last 2 quarters EPS to a full year, we get an earning per share of around 10 rupees, and the stock is trading at around 1400 rupees. So that gives a very premium escalated P multiple of around 140. So when the market is at Li-Fi levels, stock is in a triple digit P multiple, we preferably avoid such stocks they can give some trading pop, but for a longer term investment portfolio, there isn't much of headroom in terms of price performance. So we would avoid at current levels and wait for the stock to cool down to levels of 1150, 1200. That is where we would review purely based on P multiple, which are north of 100. So it is too expensive at current levels to enter. We would wait on the sidelines for this particular stock. Stock fundamentally is a great story, asset-light model, but still some price correction could give us better entry levels.
Very pertinent point made by Raghavendra there when it comes to Affle India. You know, while the fundamentals are in place, it is still looking a tad expensive, very richly valued at this moment. And do remember that even Citi has a price target of 1,600 rupees per share. It's already at 1,400 rupees. Do remember that it opened at a lot of strength and it was eventually sold into. And it doesn't leave too much room for an up move, even if you consider Citi's price target of about 1,600 rupees per share. So that's something that you must bear in mind, that the valuations are at this moment rich. But from there on, we move on and talk about the Indian IT sector. Now, we have Bernstein in the latest in the Indian IT sector. Well, we have an initiation of sorts once again on a handful of these companies. Bernstein in general is suggesting that digitization and scarcity of talent will lead to an increased outsourcing, and this of course benefits specialists in the auto software segment, specifically engineering services, the other area which is growing when it comes to IT services. And automotive segment has seen disruption across electrification as well as the autonomous sector. Based on that, they do have 3 positive calls, and I'm just going to talk about these 3 positive calls because they still have some amount of an upside based on targets from Bernstein. So they have a positive, rather an outperform rating, which is an initiation on persistent systems with a price target of 5920. This is, of course, the theme around specialization in certain sectors and software services. KPIT Technologies, where once again they do have an outperform rating here with a price target of about 2120, and naturally we know that KPIT Technologies caters to OEMs, and similarly Tata LC, where they have an initiate underperform with a price target of 6030. But remember that this is essentially on account of valuations is what they're saying, but this one also caters to the OEMs. Raghavendra, coming on perhaps these 3 companies from the mid-cap IT sector. We have Persistent Systems, KPIT Technologies, Tata Elxsi, and the likes. Your view on this sector going forward?
Broadly, we see that sector would have been currently trading with a bullish undercurrent. US dollar versus the Indian rupee currently is at around 83.20, 83.15. And we expect some strength in the dollar from here on, which could take it upwards towards 84.5, 85. That would help the export-oriented IT companies significantly in terms of their margin expansion. So the strength in the dollar would be first positive. Moving on to stock specific, we believe that mid-cap IT space would do better than the large cap names. And as the report also mentions, this report largely talks about the outperforming stocks to be sub 1 lakh crore market cap. So we believe that yes, there is some headroom, good upside in mid-cap IT space. Large cap ITs in the likes of Wipro, TCS, Infosys, HCL Tech would do good, but mid-cap would do better. And in the mid-cap space, Persistent Systems remains our top pick with a price target of 5,600. We believe that the company has significant client exposure towards North America and Europe, and the overall spending in these 2 geographies is going to have some pep up, which could help Persistent Systems in the days ahead. So 5,500, 5,600 could be a 1-year investment horizon target. And overall, we have a bullish undercurrent on mid-cap IT space.
Okay, there you have it. So that's as far as your IT companies are concerned. But we move on and shift focus to rice stocks, a subsegment